Hello YouTube. So, after the success we had on the 6950 XT, where I made quite a bit of money for doing absolutely no repair work, I decided to get back on eBay and have another go at making a decent video. This is an ASUS ROG something or other, GU603 VV, I think? Yeah, VV. And I bought it on eBay for £255. It's not in the best condition. There's some scratches on the back lid, and there's like a couple of small dents. I think it was advertised as an i9, but it's stickered as an i7, so that's a bit sad, but oh well. And I mean, it looks okay-ish. The seller of it said that it has a corrupt BIOS and requires a BIOS reflash to work again. So let's see if they're right. Let's see if we can get this working, and let's see if we can make some money. So let's plug a charger in. Keyboard lights up. That's good. Is anything happening? Any caps lock response? Nothing like that, no. Okay. I'm going to grab my Vertianov programmer and just check something. So this is the Vertianov successor. I use this for programming EC chips on laptops, but it does have a really cool second function. So it also works very well as a USB tester. So if I plug this in, we should get a series of red flashing lights here. Red, red, red. Okay, but if this laptop was posted and had a bad display, it would go beep. It would make a series of beep tones, and then we would know we have a display issue. Another thing to look out for on a no post laptop or a no display laptop is if the caps lock LED on the keyboard responds. They won't always respond, but most of them do. If that caps lock's responding and you have USB activity, there's a chance that it's a bad display. But that doesn't look to be what's going on here. It's been left on for quite a while now, and it is not posting. So let's take it apart and see if we can figure out what's going on. See if it is the BIOS. Oh, straight away, missing base screw. Another one missing there as well. And we're in. Oh my god. Okay, someone's been messing with this. Wow. Okay. So I'll plug the battery and show you what I'm seeing. Someone been trying to, I don't know, connect some kind of clip to that? Are you seeing, you know, all this scratching around the BIOS chip? Or what I think is the BIOS chip? What's that? Yeah, so that's a 25R256JV. So that's a 32 megabyte BIOS chip. But we've got all this scratching. I think someone was trying to reprogram this BIOS. With like a clip or an adapter or something, whatever they were doing, it wasn't going very smoothly because firstly this laptop doesn't work, and secondly if it went quickly and smoothly there wouldn't be all this scratching around here. Anyway, hopefully they've not done any damage. This might be a bad purchase. It's always a bit worrying when someone's been in a system. So you can see the warranty seal here has been pierced, which is, that's no fun. It also almost looks a little bent. You won't be able to see this, but this doesn't look quite right around here. It's just where the SSD is meant to connect. It looks like it's curved inwards. That's really concerning. But, what can you do? Right, let's hope they've not done too much damage. Oh, yeah, I don't like this at all. Maybe it's been punched or something. Maybe this isn't a BIOS issue. Does have some RAM in it though. An 8 gig stick. This was sold as 24 gigs, so I think there's going to be a 16 gig stick on the back side of the board. Well, not a 16 gig stick, but soldered RAM, 16 gig capacity on the back of the board. What should I do first? I want to check how much current this is drawing on the bench supply, just to make sure we're on the right lines before I start trying to mess around with the BIOS. So, I don't have an ASUS power adapter for my bench supply, so I'm going to have to solder 2 cables, one to ground and one to 19 volts, and see if it'll work like that. So, let's get under the microscope and do that. Okay, so there's that row of ferrite beads there. That looks like a good place to solder too. "19 volts can come in here. And can I get to that ground? There we go. Let's chuck a cable there. And a cable here. Let's see what happens. I'll probably plug the display back in. I don't think it'll be necessary, but... Right, let's turn the bench supply on. And it draws 0.2 amps, 0.1 amps, 0.36. And it doesn't turn on. Okay, so sometimes on ASUS laptops there is a sense pin inside the jack that will prevent the system from turning on from a dodgy charger. So basically it's to prevent high resistance inside the jack, but you won't get any charger detect unless the jack is firmly plugged in. So what I'm going to do is, just to trick that for a second, I'm going to unplug my actual charger from the wall. So we've got this power brick here, and I'm going to plug it into the jack and see what happens. Okay, current's immediately gone up. Okay, so that's a nice way to trick some of these ASUS laptops into reading current from a bench supply. Yeah, there we go. Turning on, and we have 1.6 amps. A steady 1.7 amps. I don't like this. See, if it was a BIOS issue, I'd expect a bit more fluctuation. I'd expect it to go, say, 1.7, 2.1, 2.3, back down to 1.7. But it is steady at 1.7 amps. There could be something else going on here. I mean, 1.7 amps is enough for me to say that it's probably got most of its power rails. It may be a little bit low. It might not have GPU rails. Let's go to voltage mode and see, can I get to any of the coils for GPU? 0.8 volts or 800 millivolts. That's GPU core, right? So that's okay. 1.2, so that's frame buffer, that's okay. So it does seem to have GPU power. What about around the CPU? We'll probably have 1 V8 here. No, that could be GT. What about here? 0.9 volts. 0.9 volts. 0.9 volts, okay. And the last coil. 1 V8, okay. Right, I'm not seeing anything super suspect, so I'm going to carry on as if this is a BIOS fault, and I will remove the BIOS chip here, dump the ROM, and we can take a look at the ROM in UEFI tool and see if there's anything suspect. Maybe we try a different BIOS. Maybe we try and fix any corruption on the original ROM. I don't know yet. It might be easier just to try BIOS to quickly test it, and then we can work on the original file later. But let's have a look. Right, so I've got this little BIOS socket here, and the chip that we've just removed from the motherboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our T48 BIOS programmer, chip in the adapter. There we go. And I'll switch you over to OBS on this machine. You can see how I'm going to dump this BIOS. So, I had some problems with that little socket adapter that I was using. I've ended up soldering it to a different adapter. So first we want to open our programming suite. We're going to hit Auto and Detect to see if it recognizes the chip. And it brings up a list of chips that it could be. I think it was a W25R256JV. So we're going to select that. And it's super important that we take a read before we start trying to reflash this chip. We always want to make sure we retain our original file. So let's read that. And the contents of that read are going to show up here. I want to make sure that this read is definitely a good read of the chip, so I'm also going to verify the read. So verifying is just comparing the data from the buffer back to the BIOS chip to make sure it's exactly the same. There we go. Now we can save that file knowing that it's exactly what was stored on the BIOS chip originally. So let's go desktop G6EV, and we can call this one dump, and that is saved. Cool. Okay, right. So let's go to our folder with the dump in. Now I've already gone ahead and downloaded another BIOS file for this machine. I think I grabbed this off Badcaps or maybe Vinifix, but hopefully this one's all good. What I'm going to do is I want to see how suspicious the original file looks compared to the new file. So I'm going to open something called UEFI tool. I'm going to drag our dump into it. And then I'm going to open another instance and put our new file in that one. And let's put those side by side and expand them. So on our left we have our dump, and on our right we have our new file. And you can see already something is a little bit suspicious. So this file, the original file, has an extra file at the bottom, or an extra header at the bottom called padding. Let's see what's in there. So for some reason at the bottom of this file it says configuration, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's something left from a failed BIOS update, but the thing that we're really interested in is the fact that these two, structurally, they're slightly different. So that does mean that this may well be a bad file, which I guess is It's good news because it means with the old file being slightly different, it could be corrupted and it could be the source of our problem. Now, I could just go ahead and reflash this new file and see if it works, but I'm going to put a bit more time into this. I want to try and retain the serial number and the Windows license from the old file and transfer it over to the new file. This way, I mean, we want matching serial numbers and Windows licensing. Not everyone does this, but I like to do this. Let's search in the old file for the serial number just in text. So Control F, go to text, and we can type in our serial number, which starts R3 and RK. We don't want to search Unicode. And there we go, we've got some results here. So these are the places where it shows up. Let's close those off. So it seems to be showing up in both instances of NVRAM and just the header below it. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is see if I can find the location of our Windows license. Now this offset here, or this hex code, usually dictates where the Windows license is going to be. So if I search for this in hex, go header and body, and we've found it. There we go. Let's just maximize this for a second. So this is found in the same place as this, and again I think that's just kind of expanded our NVRAM. Okay, so we know where everything is now. Now let's compare that to our other file. So if we go into the BIOS region, you'll see we only have one instance of NVRAM in our new file, and we have two in this one. So one of these is going to be a backup, so we don't really mind so much. We're just going to extract the NVRAM, and we can extract this header as well, that will have our Windows license in as well. Now we've got what we need. Let's go into hex, and we want to open our new file, our 32K volume, and our NVRAM. So let's go to our NVRAM first and see if we can find it in our new file. So I'm just gonna take this line here and see if it shows up. There we go. Okay, so this is the instance of NVRAM in the new file. We've got the one from our original here, so we're just going to highlight all, copy, and paste right that over there. So that's our NVRAM replaced on the new file. We can close that now. And let's try and find our 32K volume as well. So it shows up once there. And if we go forward, that shows up there as well. So let's do the same here. And hope I am putting this in the right place at the right offset. Oh, we don't want to paste, we want to paste right. And that seems to be the correct size because it ends in a line of zeros there. So let's save that. We can go back to our UEFI tool now. And we can go to the new one. And let's search for our serial number. Can't remember what it is. R3RNRK. Oh no, we've got to search in text. R3RNRK. Get rid of Unicode. Oh, I've typed that in wrong. R3NRK. There we go. So now it's going to show up in less places because this only has one instance of NVRAM. But it should show up, yep, there in the NVRAM and just slightly below it as well, which means our Windows license should be in there as well because they were the two locations that both the serial number and the Windows license was showing up in. So with that done, I think this file should be good to go. So let's load this file up, hit program and see what happens. Okay, that programmed and verified all good. So let's take that chip back off its adapter, put it on the board, plug it all in and see what happens. Okay, so let's take our little chip out of the adapter and move our scope over. Just get that desoldered. Add a bit of flux. Make sure pin 1's in the right place. There's a little arrow just there. And there's a little dot on the chip. I'm not sure if you can see that. Super important you solder these on the right way around. We don't want to create any short circuits. Got a bit too much solder there. There we go. And we can clean this up with some alcohol and a sponge. That's good enough for me. So let's get this all out of the way. Let's hook our bench supply back up and plug a charge tip in just to trick it into accepting power from the bench supply. And let's turn it on and see what happens. Okay, it's drawing 58 milliamps. Just jumped up to 80 there. Let's hit the power button. Okay, it lights up. It's drawing 1.4 amps, 2.0, 1.9, 1.8, 1.9, 2.0, 1.9. So see how it's bouncing around a little bit more this time? More is happening, which looks like a good sign. This might take a while to post, because it's a clean BIOS with what I'm hoping is a new ME region. It'll take a while to configure that, and it's had no power in it, so it's also CMOS reset stuff is happening as well. It's got 2 amps, 2.3 amps. Oh my god, did you see the logo? Awesome, it is working. Not only is it working, but our serial number's there too. Sweet. Cool. I thought this was going to have more wrong with it. Okay, let's shut this down. Now, I could just put an SSD in and test it, but because I'm a little concerned about how this board is sat in the chassis, I'm just going to strip this down, inspect everything, make sure it's clean, no other damage on the board, get rid of our 2 wires here, and then we can get it rebuilt, reassembled, get an OS on it, get it ready to sell. Yeah, there's definitely a bend there. Interesting. That thermal pad's not meant to be there. I think that's for something else. Let's assume it's part of the SSD pad, but it's a different size. Interesting. Maybe it went on top of the original SSD. I need a different screwdriver for that. Wow, these are tight. I think every ASUS I've done recently has the heatsink screws super tight. There's one. There's 2. And the last one there. Yep, and it has liquid metal on it, which is what I thought. It looks like a really clean application though. I'd usually want to clean that up, renew it, maybe reapply it if it was that bad, but that looks pretty good. I might just be tempted to reinstall the cooler. Okay, I mean now it's out of the chassis, the board looks pretty good, so... I said the heat sink's a little bit mangled, all these fins look like they've been attacked. Oh, what's that? Oh! There is some sort of white substance that's kind of sticky. It's made its way into this machine. Oh, that's really upsetting. I'm gonna have to clean that up. I'm gonna clean that up off camera. Oh no. Every time I pick up a device, it's got some sort of questionable substance inside it. Yeah, so the liquid metal looks okay. Let's just remove these cables. We do not need these anymore. Alright, we can get rid of the thermal paste and replace that, but I will keep the liquid metal. Don't forget to plug this cable in. Right at the back. We'll put the fans in first. Okay, and it's all back together. There we go. Right, so I've just put a little 2230 SSD in there for now for testing, but I will swap that out with something a bit more suitable at a later point. I'm going to get Windows on this, get all the drivers installed, and just make sure everything works as it should do. But at this point I feel pretty confident that it's all going to be fine. Very easy repair. Just a simple BIOS reflash, and we've brought this ASUS G16 back from the dead. So I think I already said how much I paid, but let's go over that again. So at the end of the last video, I had £447.38 to play with. This laptop cost £255, I think. Let's have a look. It cost, yeah, £255 exactly. But it did not come with an SSD, and it did not come with a charger. So the charger cost me an additional $49.99, and the SSD that I'm going to put in it I have ordered, and that was an extra £45.03. So what that means is, in total on this laptop I have spent £348.04, which is quite a lot of money, but I should be able to sell this for a decent profit. So if all of this goes through okay and there's no further problems with it, I'm just going to pop in somewhere on screen the total profit that I've made, and the new balance going forward. So with that, it looks like we're getting a lot closer to our £1,000 target. I hope you liked this video. Hit that thumbs up button if you learnt something. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.